Penguin Random House Audio presents The Books of Jacob by Olga Tokarczuk, translated by Jennifer Croft, read for you by Gilli with Alan Lewis Rickman. Prologue. Once swallowed, the piece of paper lodges in her esophagus, near her heart, saliva-soaked. The specially prepared black ink dissolves slowly now, the letters losing their shapes. Within the human body, the word splits in two, substance and essence. When the former goes, the latter, formlessly abiding, may be absorbed into the body's tissues, since essences always seek carriers in matter, even if this is to be the cause of many misfortunes. Yenta wakes up, but she was just almost dead. She feels this distinctly now, like a pain, like the river's current, a tremor, a clamor, a rush. With a delicate vibration, her heart resumes its weak but regular beating, capable. Warmth is restored to her bony, withered chest. Yenta blinks and just barely lifts her eyelids again. She sees the agonized face of Elisha Shore, who leans in over her. She tries to smile, but that much power over her face she can't quite summon. Elisha Shore's brow is furrowed, his gaze brimming with resentment. His lips move, but no sound reaches Yenta. Old Shore's big hands appear from somewhere, reaching for her neck, then move beneath her threadbare blanket. Clumsily, he rolls her body onto the side, so he can check the bedding. Yenta can't feel his exertions, no. She senses only warmth and the presence of a sweaty, bearded man. Then suddenly, as though from some unexpected impact, Yenta sees everything from above. Herself, the balding top of Old Shore's head. In his struggle with her body, he has lost his cap. And this is how it is now. How it will be. Yenta sees all. 1. The Book of Fog. 1. 1752, Rohatyn. It's early morning, near the close of October. The vicar for rain is standing on the porch of the presbytery, waiting for his carriage. He's used to getting up at dawn, but today he feels just half awake and has no idea how he even ended up here, alone in an ocean of fog. He can't remember rising, or getting dressed, or whether he's had breakfast. He stares, perplexed at the sturdy boots sticking out from underneath his cassock, at the tattered front of his faded woolen overcoat, at the gloves he's holding in his hands. He slips on the left one. It's warm and fits him perfectly, as though hand and glove have known each other many years. He breathes a sigh of relief. He feels for the bag slung over his shoulder, mechanically runs his fingers over the hard edges of the rectangle it contains, thickened like scars under the skin, and he remembers, slowly, what's inside. That heavy, friendly form. A good thing. The thing that's brought him here. Those words, those signs, each with a profound connection to his life. Indeed, now he knows what's there, and this awareness slowly starts to warm him up, and as his body comes back, he starts to be able to see through the fog. Behind him, the dark aperture of the doors, one side shut. The cold must have already set in, perhaps even a light frost already, spoiling the plums in the orchard. Above the doors, there is a rough inscription, which he sees without looking, already knowing what it says. He commissioned it, after all. Those two craftsmen from Podayaca took an entire week to craft the letters into the wood. He had, of course, requested they be done ornately. Here today, and gone tomorrow. No use to milk is your sorrow. Somehow, in the second line, they wrote the very first letter backward, like a mirror image. Aggravated by this for the umpteenth time, the priest spins his head around, and the sight is enough to make him fully awake. That backward N. How could they be so negligent? You really have to watch them constantly, supervise their each and every step. And since these craftsmen are Jewish, they probably use some sort of Jewish style for the inscription. The letters looking ready to collapse under their frills. One of them had even tried to argue that this preposterous excuse for an N was acceptable, nay, even preferable, since its bar went from bottom to top and from left to right, in the Christian way, and that Jewish would have been the opposite. The petty irritation of it has brought him to his senses, and now, Father Benedict Chmielowski, Dean of Rohatyn, understands why he felt as if he was still asleep. He's surrounded by fog the same grayish color as his bedsheets, an off-white already tainted by dirt, by those enormous stores of gray that are the lining of the world. The fog is motionless, covering the whole of the courtyard completely. Through it loom the familiar shapes of the big pear tree, the solid stone fence, and, farther still, the wicker cart. He knows it's just an ordinary cloud, tumbled from the sky and landed with its belly on the ground. He was reading about this yesterday in Comenius. Now he hears the familiar clatter that on every journey whisks him into a state of creative meditation. Only after this sound does Roshko appear out of the fog, leading a horse by the bridle. After him comes the vicar's britchka. At the sight of the carriage, Father Chmielowski feels a surge of energy, slaps his glove against his hand, and leaps up into his seat. Roshko, silent as usual, adjusts the harness and glances at the priest. The fog turns Roshko's face gray, and suddenly he looks older to the priest, as though he's aged overnight, although in reality he's a young man yet. Finally, they set off, but it's as if they're standing still, since the only evidence of motion is the rocking of the carriage and the soothing creaks it makes. They've traveled this road so many times, over so many years, that there's no need to take in the view any longer, nor will landmarks be necessary for them to get their bearings. Father Chmielowski knows they've now gone down the road that passes along the edge of the forest, and they'll stay on it all the way to the chapel at the crossroads. The chapel was erected there by Father Chmielowski himself some years earlier, when he had just been entrusted with the presbytery of Firleuf. For a long time he had wondered to whom to dedicate the little chapel, and he had thought of Benedict, his patron saint, or Onufrius, the hermit who had, in the desert, miraculously received dates to eat from a palm tree, while every 8th day angels brought down for him from heaven the body of Christ. For Father Chmielowski, Firleuf was to be a kind of desert too, after his years tutoring his lordship Jabłonowski's son Dymitr. On reflection, he had come to the conclusion that the chapel was to be built not for him and the satisfaction of his vanity, but rather for ordinary persons, that they might have a place to rest at that crossroads, whence to raise their thoughts to heaven. Standing, then, on that brick pedestal, coated in white lime, is the Blessed Mother, Queen of the world, wearing a crown on her head, a serpent squirming under her slipper. She, too, disappears into the fog today, along with the chapel and the crossroads. Only the treetops are visible, a sign that the fog is beginning to dissipate. "Kashka won't go, good sir," Roshko mumbles when the carriage comes to a stop. He gets out of his seat and vigorously crosses himself, once, twice, and then again. He leans forward and peers into the fog as he would into water. His shirt pokes out from underneath his faded red Sunday doublet. "I don't know where to go," he says. "What do you mean you don't know? We're on the Rohatyn road now," the priest says in astonishment. And yet... He gets out of the britchka to join his servant. Helplessly, they circle the carriage, straining their eyes into the pale gray. For a moment.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?